Join me at 2 Kings, the 6th chapter. Look at somebody, say, it's not what's in front of you, it's about what you're looking at. How many of you were blessed this morning by our message? Listen, if you have not heard, if you ain't seen it, you need, I'm telling you, you need to watch this morning's message. The title of it was, The Problem is Not the Problem. Because there is one thing that's more powerful than the problem, and it's called perspective. Your perspective can impact the problem, but your problem can restrict your perspective. And we're talking about this in the context of focus, because it is something that I'm learning that people have to grow into. That focus does not just happen by spontaneous combustion. It's a matter of personal choice and decision. Say amen. And in 2 Kings, the 6th chapter, at the 8th verse, when you're there, say, I'm there. If you're not there, say, wait on me. All right, I'm there. Tell wait on me to hurry up, please. Amen. 2 Kings 6, verse 8. In the New Living Translation, it reads like this. When the king of Aram was at war with Israel, he would confer with his officers and say, we will mobilize our forces at such and such a place. But immediately, Elisha, the man of God, would warn the king of Israel, do not go near that place, for the Arameans are planning to mobilize their troops there. So the king of Israel would send word to the place indicated by the man of God. And time and again, Elisha warned the king so that he would be on alert there. The king of Aram became very upset over this. He called his officers together and demanded, which of you is the traitor? Who has been informing the king of Israel of my plans? It's not us, my lord the king, one of the officers replied. But Elisha, the prophet in Israel, tells the king of Israel, even the words you speak in the privacy of your bedroom, go and find out where he is, the king commanded, so I can send the troops to seize him. The report came back, Elisha is at Dothan. So one night the king of Aram sent a great army with many chariots and horses to surround the city. And when the servant of the man of God got up early the next morning and went outside, there were troops and horses and chariots everywhere. Oh, sir, what will we do now? The young man cried to Elisha. Don't be afraid, for there are more on our side than there is on theirs. God be praised. And Elisha prayed, oh Lord, open his eyes and let him see. The Lord opened the young man's eyes, and when he looked up, he saw that the hillside around Elisha was filled with horses and with chariots of fire. And as the Aramean army advanced toward him, Elisha prayed, oh Lord, please make them blind. So the Lord struck the enemies with blindness as Elisha had asked. Then Elisha went out and told them, you have come the wrong way. This is not the right city. Follow me, and I will take you to the man you're looking for. And he led them to the city of Samaria. Final thought, as soon as they had entered Samaria, Elisha prayed again, oh Lord, now open their eyes, let them see. So the Lord opened their eyes, and they discovered that they were back at Samaria. And when the king of Israel saw them, he shouted to Elisha, my father, should I kill them? Of course not, Elisha replied. Do we kill prisoners of war? Give them food and drink and send them home again to their master. Father, help me to preach this in Jesus' name. Look at somebody, say, I can see it now. I can see it now. Look at somebody else, tell them, I can finally see it now. Elisha, selected from among the students, and not just from among the students, but from also the sons. In the book of 1st and 2nd Kings, there are groups of people that Elijah taught, and they didn't have access to the same levels of information. In the school of the prophets in the Old Testament, they were not learning to prophesy. They were actually being exposed to literature, to historic writing technique. They were being exposed to poetry. They were being exposed to geography. They also learned a certain realm of animal behavior. Elisha was teaching the prophets how to use their mantle in every kingdom known to the world. Elisha had a very unfortunate trajectory because he was the one that stayed around when the students and the sons got distracted. The story would go that after the double portion fell upon Elisha, you know the story, that the sons of the prophets and the students or the school of the prophets, everybody looked at Elisha and they said these horrific words, right? Surely the spirit of Elijah doth rest on Elisha. There was not a business card or some type of promotional material handed out. There was a consciousness of the manifestation of the lessons that Elisha had incubated. What you learn is visible. What you study comes upon you. People can see what you're learning by how well you're wearing it. It is in your life that people know if you're learning or not. Say yes. And Elisha was not unfamiliar with war and with bloodshed. He was not unfamiliar with fighting, but this particular battle was a very, very, very unique one because the king of Israel was not a competent king. He was not a king that knew exactly how to lead the way kings led. He was heavily reliant on the revelatory resources of Israel, so much so that he never made a leadership decision without the revelation of the prophets. Herein is wisdom. When God gives you any position and you don't deliberately pursue revelation, you will soon lose that position. And not only will you lose the position, you may also lose what got you there. The abilities that are within you are not upheld by your position, it's upheld by your revelation. People lead well because of what they know, not because of who they are. And when you lead well, God makes sure you learn and that you have a leaning into certain levels of knowledge. This is a favorite story of mine because the unsung hero in all of this is not Elisha. We are not shocked by Elijah's prophetic ability. Remember, in the chapter before, the Bible said that when Naaman had a disease and he went to go and cure Naaman of the disease, somebody lied to Elisha, and Elisha said these words, "Did not my spirit go with you?" He basically told the boy, "I didn't go with you, but I sure saw you. You're not going to lie to me." We are not new to Elisha's prophetic acumen and or ability. But what we see in this particular chapter was that God used Elisha to teach Gehazi the lesson that would lead him into his future. And now before you get bored with this, I want you to know that there's a lot of Bible heroes that ain't popular. A lot of you love to study the popular people, the Pauls and the Daniels and the Davids, but you don't know nothing about Lydia, do you? There's a lot of us who love to study Esther. There's a lot of us who love to study Samson, but we don't like to study Hannah, and we don't like to study Elkanah, and we don't like to study the old prophet who tried to school the young prophet and God. We don't like to understand the faceless heroes. And here, Gehazi stands out as a man who has learned what you are about to learn. There are going to come moments in your life where God, in teaching you to focus, is going to make you follow something that is prophetic. And before you shut that down, I want to be very honest with you, and I want you to know that the most frustrating thing to follow, good God, and the most frustrating thing to comprehend, and the most frustrating thing to try to partner with is something that's prophetic. It's very easy to follow something that is informational, wisdom. I got instructions and I got notes. I can even follow something with a rod and a staff. You see the rod, you go. But when you follow something that is future driven and future discipline and future familiar, it's frustrating to follow the future. You want to know why? Because you have no security. You have no predictability. When you follow something that could get raptured up any moment, you've got to make sure you are always emotionally ready for this thing to disappear and to become another thing. And you have been following something prophetic all your life and you didn't know it. And the reason I know it is because you're in this church, and everybody that comes to this church has a desire to hear what they ain't heard before. Yeah, you're about to experience a lot of challenges around why God makes you follow something prophetic. The subject lesson to that is this: God makes you follow something prophetic because he wants you to develop a craving for the future. You must crave what has not happened yet. Here it comes. You must develop an appetite for the events that have yet to come to pass. You must develop a sensitivity for the pending purposes of God that lie wait in your obedience. And here are some critical things that support the main thought. First of all, I love the fact that God focuses somebody in this text through the power of a warning. Watch me. We're in a generation, Kenny, that has no regard for warning. We are in a generation that don't like warnings being preached. They're private. They are selfish. They are full of conceit. God be praised. They are full of deception. And God's mercy resource to a people or a place or a generation that's on their road to the wrong thing is not judgment. Judgment does not come first. And a lot of us preach and act as if God's immediate consequence for a wrong direction is to judge it. No, he corrects it and then he judges it if he can't correct it. And the way God corrects is through a loving warning, a consistent warning, a direct warning. He does not come to make people worry. No, he's not appealing to the action. He's appealing to the consequence. And the wisdom in that for you is you will know when God is trying to focus you if he's sending people to warn you. You will know that the Lord is trying to steer you a certain way if you are getting a lot of red signs and a lot of red flags around the decision and around the joint partnership. What I love about this is that the assault, pay attention, was not on the people, the assault was on the place. When Elijah got wind that the king of Aram was sending people not against Israel, but to where they were planning to go, then the warnings came. Now, when God is getting ready to take you to a new place, the attack is not going to be on your person. Pay attention, Buckethead. It's going to be on the place God called you to. Many of you take things way too personally, but the devil is not as personal as what we think. He knows that he don't get much fulfillment off of attacking people. What he attacks is places. The place called success, the place called healing, the place called covenant. He's attacking the place. And if you are on your way to a new place, you got to develop a heart for warning, an ear for warning, a sensitivity for warning. Here he comes. A respect for warning. You've got to have relationships that are not afraid to warn. You've got to have uncomfortable moments of warning. And the reason why this is so complicated to very many of you is because you are prisoners of your own privacy. You're so busy trying to keep your business to yourself because you are afraid of somebody opposing your approach to a thing. And the subject or the motivating spirit of that privacy is pride. It's not discretion. It's a stubborn spirit of pride and idolatry. And if you want to kick God off fast, be found in pride. A warning. A warning. A warning. They will save your life. They will save your money. A warning will spare you from disease. When the doctor measures you and assesses you and gives you instructions, those are not suggestions. These are warnings. And if you do not heed the warning, your health will be impacted. How many of you wish you would have listened? Oh, you don't want to say, man, I preach to myself. How many of you want the opportunity to obey again? That I knew that this was going to go this way. Why am I shocked that the outcome is this way? There is a warning coming out of heaven. The deeper point to that is God don't warn the people who intend to do wrong. God does not waste warnings on people that have made up their mind to be wrong. The warning is the safety guard to the people of the place that want to do right and didn't, or want to do right and might miss the warning of God. It's what we see in this. If we look a little deeper at this thing, he warned concerning the place. The warning was the wisdom about where they were going because he knew the enemy was going there. He was going to do his best to try to beat them to the place they were going. And what that means is every place God takes you, the devil's best attack, Nick, is sabotage. If God gives you a company and the devil can't do nothing about what God is doing, he'll try to sabotage it. And if he can't sabotage it directly, watch me, he'll make you self-sabotage it. God will send relationships to you. And if you don't have the cognizant ability to recognize that these people are here to help you, you will self-sabotage it by testing the relationship, manipulating the people around you to prove why you can't trust them, when the real problem is you have missed out on the fact that this is sabotage. I have seen sabotage come upon whole companies. There is nothing worse than starting a dream with the wrong team. You got the right product and you got the right idea, but you ain't cleaned that team in a long time. Sabotage. There's a such thing as sabotage to favor. When you try to share what God is pouring on your life, Joseph, and the people around you are not capacitated to conceptualize why it's you, how it's you, and what the difference between you and me is, what will they do? Sabotage. Sneak attack at the place. Something started happening. Now we're getting to my idea. Every time the king of Aram, hey Stephanie, would make a move, he would get to the place and the people wouldn't be there. Because what God did through the prophets was train Israel how to be sensitive to their warnings. They would not be there because they heeded the word of the Lord. He went several times. Y'all said y'all was going to be here. Finally, he gets frustrated, Elder B, and he says, who has tapped my phone? This stupid Boost Mobile who has hacked into my emails. One of you is a traitor. One of you is talking too much. This is exactly why I can't share all my plans. This is that. Who is it? And the king's servant, watch this. Hey, in case you hadn't heard, there is a surveillance system in Israel. There is central intelligence among God's people. You can't plan nothing that he won't prepare them for. Glory, you can't plot nothing that they won't be prepared to handle. You can scheme all you want. You can plan all you want, budget, get all your troops together. The Lord will never allow the righteous to be ensnared by the wicked. This is why the Bible says, fret not yourself because of evildoers, for they soon will wither. Elisha is telling them of all, glory, of your plans, even your private plans. Glory to God, because you got some public plans. You've been letting your soldiers know, oh yeah, I'm working on this and I'm going to use this weapon, but that's not all Elisha knows. God be praised. He even knows what you talk about in your bedroom, the top secret plans. Glory to God. And some of you have a very obvious attack on you. You have a very bold attack on you, but the enemy has been trying to construe and formulate something even more intense than the last attack. But thanks be unto God that the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding both the good and the evil. David said, even the dark ain't dark to you. And how dare you not serve a God that can see what nobody can see? He will protect you, protect you, protect you. Fine. If Elisha is the one out in my plans, now I tell you what, go kill him. Go take him. Put your hand against him and let me capture the one who is exposing my plot. Let's make sure that the prophet has no freedom. I'm going somewhere. Elisha was not scared. The other day, dude sent she-bears after some toddlers. He was in grief, Dr. Ross. His spiritual dad was gone. The sons of the prophets and the school of the prophets didn't like him. So he was in a bad mood. Have you ever just had a not today? Like, let me tell you something. Try another day. This is not that. God be praised. Elisha had a this is not that moment, but the real wisdom was not for the king of Israel. And the real wisdom was not for the king of Aram. And the real story and the real testimony was not even for Elisha. You know what this story is about. Gehazi. 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 Get ready to say ouch. There are certain things you will never see if you don't serve. They don't want this. They want me to tell them it's their season and then, no. What I'm telling you is God is angry about the absence of servanthood in your life. He's concerned about how self-absorbed you've got it and all of the excuses you make for not serving your way into your success. Oh, Gehazi had been in training. The chapter before, he was with Elisha and observed a miracle. The chapter after, he saw Elijah perform more miracles. But there was something that Elisha learned from his spiritual father that Gehazi had to learn, and it was this: no matter what happens, stay in your post. No matter what goes around you, don't you stop serving. If the devil can take your serve, he can take your sight. And some of you can't see because you're too silly to serve. God is trying to deliver you from the simple mentality of sitting and doing nothing. He wants to make a servant out of you. Gehazi was being trained through his servanthood. And he was being coached through his servanthood. This is why one of the most significant ministries in any church is not just the worship leader. And it's not just the evangelist. And it's not just the deacons and the thuggish, ruggish bones. You know who needs the most oil, God be praised, is those armor bearers. I don't allow anybody to armor bear me that I can't see my mantle on. The reason you serve me is because of what I wear. I can pour my own water. I can carry my own Bible. This is a positional impartation that the more you on the man, the more the mantle comes in you. I'm trying to tell you to serve. Now you're arrogant, so you want to sing, and you're boastful, and you want to be seen. You want a mic and not a mop, but the devil is a liar. God is putting the spirit of servanthood back in his house. Throw your head back, say serve. God picked Elisha. God picked Elisha. God picked Elisha. Elijah did not know who his successor would be, but the consistency of the story is Elisha served. He prophesied, glory, but he served. And the Bible said that when it was time for Elijah to be called up, when they looked at Elisha, what they told him was, this is the one who poured water on the hands of Elijah. Sorry. And you don't understand what that means. That was not a cup of drinking water. That literally meant he washed the germs off of Elijah's hands. When Elijah would be working on cattle and oxen and working on slaying meat, his hands were full of blood. And the Bible said Elisha would be around just in the environment looking for an opportunity to serve. Now the sons of the prophets had homework and the school of the prophets had homework, but they were doing their studies and not serving, because you can study and not serve. But if you study and don't serve, there's no way to test what you actually learn. Glory to God. That's why many of you are puffed up. You're reading and not serving, researching and not serving, highlighting and not serving. But there are some things you won't see until you serve. I know I'm hitting your ugly flesh because you want compensation. I don't understand this. I grew up in church all my life, and I ain't never seen so many people who want to be paid. We got to pay you to move a chair. I said it. We got to pay you like you are a part of the labor union to turn off a darn light. We got to pay you to stay late for prayer, pay you to come early to fix the drawers. And you don't understand why poverty has a right to you. It's because you've not learned that the way God grows you for the double portion and the way God teaches you how to use the mantle is you got to serve it. When you see something on somebody else, the wise serve what they see. I'm working in here. Some impartation don't come by the laying on of hands. Some impartation don't come by reading books. Some impartation don't come from breathing. Some things you can serve your way to. I served my way into healing. I served my way into deliverance. I served my way into it. If you want to be paid for it, that is your reward. But if you want more of it, you've got to serve it. Slap somebody and say, I'll serve him. Elisha learned how to serve. Elisha learned to serve. He didn't care who called him what. He didn't care where he sat. He didn't have a fit on the parking lot attendees because wasn't no parking spots available. Elisha was like, hey, y'all can do all of that. If I've got to walk my black tail up Jeffrey just to get around the house of God, I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of the Lord than to dwell in the courts of the wicked. I will serve him. Servanthood, servanthood, servanthood. I'm about to teach you a secret to the supernatural. Servanthood. If you want to see miracles in your ministry and miracles in your life, if you want to be able to easily walk the aisles of the angelic and to decode the mysterium of the spirit and to have the ancient writings of Israel opened up unto you as if it was easy, you got to serve. If you want to be able to speak to sicknesses and they go, that's why you pray for folks healing and they don't get healed, is because God is looking for his son and can't find it. You're not serving enough. And if you get your heart and your character and your mind made up to serve, all of the supernatural is available to you. Elisha learned servanthood from Elijah so he could only teach what he really learned. I find it interesting that he never taught Gehazi to prophesy, and he never taught Gehazi the way to heal leprosy. And these were all geniuses that Elisha had available. They all were flowing in his life. Obviously, the most outstanding lesson from Elisha to Gehazi was how to serve. Sometimes when you serve, you get scared. You're not going to be honest because you're mad at me. But I remember serving scared. What if I die here? They're not going to be honest, Jimmy. What if I serve and it never pays off? Yeah. What if I serve and nobody sees me serving and somebody gets what I worked for quicker than what I did? If you be honest, you could be free. I've had some conversations in my head about the real use of servanthood. That if there is no profitability in this, do I want to keep doing it? I don't want to keep postponing my reward, postponing my pay. Maybe I should work smarter and not harder. And when you go there in your mind and in your motives and in your character, you have given the devil a whole apartment in your life because he knows there's everything he can do to somebody who don't serve. If you don't serve, your only other option is to become a slave. Something else will control you. Something else will run you. And maybe it's not obvious stuff. It could be your job. It could be the pressures of debt. Maybe the problem is because you don't serve, all you see is the stresses of whatever is around you. There are moments when the devil will torment the servant. And I'm looking in the face of some of you pearheads, and you used to serve. You were naive. You came into the house of God and thought nobody was going to hurt you. You joined the church and was like, I came here to be loved, and didn't realize that somebody may not like you. You had a plan. I'm going to serve the Lord. I can't wait. And then you ran into a mean usher, or you ran into a hater in the elder, or you ran into a controlling mentor, and you know what you did? You bought the bait. What you did was you took your serve back. I can't get help. I can't get help. You're going to have to help me, Michael, Gabriel, all y'all. You took your serve back. There was a time when you used to be the first one at prayer. There was a time when we called the altar. You ran your nappy head self up here. Now you so at home in yourself. You wait for somebody else to beat you up there so that you don't look silly. But God is trying to revive your serve. You don't know what's in the other season. There's some things that God's got waiting on you, and the way you push the button is you got to serve. Why? Serving builds the character for the future. One thing that is guaranteed: God will never let a servant live blind. You don't hear what I'm talking to you about. If you find that you're blind in an area, you got to see if your heart is vacillated from the place of servanthood. The servanthood mentality says, my life is not mine. My feelings are mine, but they belong to him. My perspectives are mine, but they belong to him. They are bond servants, literally. God has to make sure that if you are going to serve, You got to see. Gehazi had a moment in his own psyche. What are we going to do? Elisha looked at him like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Here is wisdom for you. Fear is a very natural thing. But if you're going to serve, you have to make it unnormal. Everything natural should not be normal. And you're going to have to make a decision in this next season if you're going to live like mere men or like men who are living for something that you can't see yet. When you have fears, it means that you spend too much time at home in the physical realm. And you've lost sight and you've lost consciousness about what God's got going. I love the fact that Elisha had an anointing for eyes. He moved in optics in the spirit. What that means is that not only did he have the authority to open eyes, at will he could close them. That's a bad man. He looked at Gehazi, who was serving, and said, Lord, open his eyes. You will know when you are serving the right leader or the right church or the right place when you can see what you did not see. It's not always going to manifest in houses and cars, but the anointing is going to open your eyes. And if you're in the wrong thing and connected to the wrong thing, not only will your eyes not open, but your fear level will remain the same. The sign of the right attachment is an opened eye. Lord, open his eyes. All of a sudden, with his eyes wide open, they were now open. You know what your problem is? You have eyes wide shut. Jesus always talked about those that had eyes and couldn't see. Those who had ears and could not hear, because this is a trained supernatural skill. You have to teach yourself to see what you don't see. You have to be disciplined in looking at what you can't see. You have to train yourself to meditate, glory to God, and confess and remember and rehearse what ain't happened yet. That's how the men of old won their battles. They didn't win their battles with armies. If you look at Hebrews 11, the consistent thing that all of they had is that they walked by faith and not by sight. You are not going to be a hero because of who you help. You're going to be a hero because of what you see. And if you do not look at what you don't see, you will not go where you were supposed to go. Open his eyes. Gehazi opened his eyes after they were open, and now his reality changed. He was able to now perceive that his real help was not in a chariot. And his real help was not in the plans of Israel. You can plan, the Bible said the plans of a man belong to him, but his war is the Lord's. You can plan and prepare to fight in all of your might, but when your eyes come open, you're going to realize, if this is for you, go crazy, your real help is invisible. I appreciate your friends, but your real help is invisible. Appreciate your CCO, but your real help is invisible. The invisible help has abilities that the visible help do not have. And some of you are mad because you can't see the horses and you can't see the chariots and you're not looking at the burning flames of fire that's round about this new place. But lift your hands and scream, help! There is brand new help getting ready to come to your life. I saw it this morning. There are militant angels that are on assignment to the place you're getting ready to go. These are unusual angelic aids to carry you into this battle. The help was there. And they didn't just appear. He just couldn't see it. After Elisha shows Gehazi how to see through serving, Elisha now goes to God and is like, I want you to blind their adversary. They're going to move. They're going to take a step to this new place. And I want you to do me a favor. When Elijah prayed, you closed the heavens. When Elijah prayed, you sent fire from the sky. When Elijah prayed, he was able to deal with 450 prophets. If I pray and ask you to blind these enemies, then Israel can get where they're going securely. I want you to realize something that's going to help you sleep tonight. I want you to realize something that's going to stop you from having panic attacks. I want you to realize something that's about to spare you some headaches. The devil don't see where you're about to go. They're not listening. They're not listening. They didn't hear me. They don't listen. They're hard-headed. They're not listening to me. I just told you that the difference between who you serve and what they serve is that they can't see everything. Ashley, the problem is we have preached Satan as if he was omniscient. We have preached Satan as if he's always got a hand up and always got an inclination. But I'm here to tell you there are some things he just does not know. He's been attacking you using cues and categories. But for this next place, slap somebody, say this next place. God is going to blind the adversary. He's going to have to throw stuff at you to try to figure out. But God is so interested in bringing you to this place that he makes sure the devil can't see it. Come on, look at 3 people and say, can't see me. Come on, say, can't see me. If you sanctify yourself, he's not going to see. If you purify yourself, he's not going to see. If you serve, God's going to block you from the optic powers of hell screaming. This is, this is biblical battle tactic. I'm not going to go combat to combat with you in the flesh. I'm going to ask God to change what you can see. I'm not going to waste my bullets on you. And I'm not going to even use my mantle. You ain't worth my ministry. I'm just going to ask God to blind what you can see. I'm about to bust a move. And because of the move I'm about to make, if you don't see it, you can't stop it. If you don't see it, you can't threaten me about it. If you don't see it, you can't even send your little imps that way. I'm here to prophesy to you. Your next big move is beyond his sight. Get ready to walk in with ease. Get ready to flow in with ease. If you serve. Elisha led the enemy. There was a positional switch in this battle. Elisha knew that because they were blind, they had to believe what he said. So he said, hey guys, over here. How does God blind a whole army? We're not talking about 1 to 2 people. The civil forces of that regime were all blinded simultaneously. And it put Elisha in the place to be the one in charge. You're going to do what I say around here. You're going to follow me. You're going to obey. If I say don't touch my kids, you will not touch my kids. If I say my body is off limits, my body is off limits. If I say don't come in my house with fear and smoke, stay your raggedy so-and-so up out of my house. I want somebody in here to get some boldness. You can do whatever you want to do over there. But as for me and my house, we don't do debt. As for me and my house, we don't do sickness. As for me and my house, we don't do covenant breaking. As for me and my house, we don't do stinginess. I've made some decisions and you're going to have to get with it. The Bible says you will decree a thing. I can't get half help. You will decree a thing and see it established. The reason God wants you to see is because there's some things he wants you to say. People who don't see right don't say right. You don't see right, it starts coming out in cynicism and faithless banter. You start using your words to communicate the fear of your heart and not the reality of God, the revelation of God, the promise of God. I dare you for the next 7 days, if you want to see a miracle, if you want to see a breakthrough, put the promise of God in your mouth. Why don't you take Monday and refuse to speak on the problem and begin to announce the promise? Why don't you take Tuesday and refuse to call your kids what they're acting like and proclaim the promise of God over them? The promise of God is more powerful than your problems. And if you start to express and convey and declare the word of God, your world will change. Elisha told them, follow me here. And when they got where they were going, they were back where they started. There is a battle tactic called return to sender. I wish I had 3 people in here. I'm going to go find me a church to preach this at tonight just because. I said there's a battle strategy called return to sender. May everything you sent to me, everything you plotted to me, devil, you not slick. I've got power to veto. I got power to return. I got power to release it back on your head. You don't have to accept everything that happens to you. Reverse it. Send it back. Refuse to allow it. That's not your diabetes. It's not like a puppy. I got my diabetes. Okay, if you keep owning that, it's going to live with you. You call that thing exactly what you are, a stranger, an alien. I reject you. I despise you. And as long as the Holy Ghost is in this body, you will not kill me. As long as I'm filled with the Holy Ghost and speak with tongues, no sickness allowed. Something is about to happen to you. I'm telling you as a prophet of God, if you hear me as a life coach, you're not going to get it. Prophetically, you're about to go to a new place. Your whole world in less than a year will be nothing like what you had imagined. And it don't mean you won't have some disappointments. It don't mean that some plans might not get messed up. But the place is secure. Stop worrying about the people. Focus on the place. Stop worrying about the problem. Discern the place. If you see where God is taking you, then you'll always have the help that you need.